You've seen it 1,000 times, maybe without even noticing. It creeps along old stone walls, wraps around fence posts, and cascades from planters like a green waterfall. It clings to mailboxes, garage walls, and tree trunks, turning plain surfaces into living curtains of leaves. At first glance, it looks like the perfect plant. It grows fast, never seems to die, and keeps its color even when everything else fades. It hides the ugly parts of the yard. It makes any space look soft and lush, almost like an English garden out of a storybook. For a beginner, it feels like a small miracle. You plant a few cuttings, and suddenly, boom, your garden looks full. Your neighbors stop and smile. You tell yourself, finally, something that thrives without constant watering or care. But here's the twist. What if I told you this plant that seems to make everything better is quietly doing more harm than good? What if it's damaging your trees, draining your soil, and even changing the balance of life in your garden without you realizing it? The truth is, most gardeners don't find out until it's too late. They look around one day and realize their flowers have thinned, their trees look tired, and the ground feels strangely empty. They pull back a few vines and discover dead bark underneath. The plant we're talking about today is English ivy, Hedera helix, if you want the fancy name. It's beautiful, no doubt. The dark green leaves, the glossy shine, the way it clings with perfect little rootlets. It feels like nature's decoration. But that beauty hides a dark secret. English ivy isn't just growing, it's conquering. It spreads through your yard, into the soil, up the trees, and sometimes even into your house siding. It moves quietly, root by root, until you wake up one morning and realize you don't really control your garden anymore. It does. And here's the part that surprises most people. Ivy doesn't just take space. It takes life. It steals light from the plants below it. It holds water against bark until it rots. It pushes out the flowers and ferns that feed pollinators. Over time, it turns a living garden into a silent carpet of green. Pretty, but empty. I know it's hard to hear, especially if you've nurtured it for years. Maybe it's wrapped around your mailbox or covering the back fence. Maybe it's the first thing you planted when you moved in. It's okay, you're not alone. Almost every gardener falls for ivy at some point. It's sold in every nursery. It's even recommended by well-meaning neighbors and websites that haven't updated their advice in decades. But once you understand what it really does, you'll see your garden differently. You'll start to notice how much space it steals, how it smothers small plants that try to grow beneath it, how it climbs your trees and changes the shape of your yard's ecosystem. This video isn't about blame, it's about awareness. We're going to uncover what English ivy really does, how it fools even experienced gardeners, and how you can fix the problems step by step. You'll learn what to plant instead, plants that give the same lush look without destroying the life underneath. So, if you've ever looked at your garden and thought, something feels off, but I can't tell what, stay with me. By the end of this lesson, you'll know exactly what's going on and what to do about it. Grab your gloves, take a sip of something warm, and get comfortable. We're about to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest secrets in home gardening, the plant everyone grows but shouldn't. Welcome back to Rootly Gardening. I'm really glad you're here today. I know you love your garden. You want it to be a place of peace, color, and life. You want to walk outside, breathe fresh air, and feel proud of what you've grown. Maybe you've planted flowers for the bees, herbs for the kitchen, or shade trees to cool the yard. But here's the thing no one tells you when you start gardening. Not every green thing is your friend. Some plants wear a friendly face, but quietly make trouble behind the scenes. English ivy is one of them. If you've got ivy, don't worry. You're in good company. Millions of gardeners across America have it too. It's on garden walls, schoolyards, park edges, and front porches everywhere. It's sold at big box stores in hanging pots with cute little tags that say Easy Care or Fast Cover. It's the plant version of fast food. Quick, cheap, and satisfying at first, until you find out what it's doing to your health. Now, you might be wondering, how bad could it really be? It's just ivy. Well, by the time we finish this video, you'll see exactly why. You'll understand how it slowly chokes trees, changes the soil under your feet, and turns healthy ground into lifeless mats of roots. You'll see how it spreads from one corner of your garden to another, and even into the wild without you realizing it. We'll go step by step with simple, clear examples. You'll hear stories from gardeners who faced the same problem and fixed it. You'll learn easy ways to remove ivy without chemicals, and I'll show you some beautiful, well-behaved plants that can take its place and make your garden even better. I want this to feel like a chat between friends, not a lecture. I'll keep things simple, and when we hit tricky gardening terms, I'll explain them right away. No fancy jargon, no science class stress, just plain English. So if you're a beginner, you're in the right place. And if you're an experienced gardener, I promise you'll still find something new here, something that might save your soil, your trees, and a whole lot of future frustration. Let's start with how we all fall for English ivy in the first place, because almost every gardener does. Think back to your early gardening days. You wanted instant green. You wanted something to fill that bare fence or the shady corner where nothing seemed to grow. You saw ivy at the garden center, cheap, bright, and full of promise. The tag said it would thrive in sun or shade. It said it was hardy and evergreen. And it was. You planted it, you felt proud. Within weeks, it started spreading. It climbed, it covered, and your garden looked full and mature. Friends complimented you. You thought, wow, I finally did something right. That's the magic and the danger of English ivy. It gives you fast success. And when you're new to gardening, success feels amazing. But ivy's not really giving, it's taking. The thing about gardening is that it's always teaching us, even when we don't realize it. Plants have personalities. Some are generous. They share space, improve the soil, attract bees and butterflies, and make your yard more alive. Others are selfish. They crowd, smother, and refuse to share. English ivy falls squarely into that second group. I learned that the hard way. Years ago, at my first home, I planted it under an old oak tree. It was just a few little vines. I thought it would look charming, a nice green blanket to hide the bare roots. For the first year, it did. The next year, it spread farther. By the third year, I couldn't see the soil anymore. Then one day, I looked up and realized the ivy had climbed the tree trunk almost to the branches. I thought it looked romantic, like something out of an old garden painting. I didn't realize it was suffocating the bark and weighing the limbs. That oak didn't last much longer. When a heavy storm came, half of it split and fell. When we cleaned up the mess, I saw what the ivy had done. The bark underneath was soft and rotting. Fungi had eaten their way in. The tree never had a chance. That was my wake-up call. Since then, I've seen the same story happen again and again. Gardeners mean well. They want beauty, but they end up feeding a plant that only takes. So in this video, we'll break down everything you need to know. We'll start by looking at why English ivy seems so appealing, then move on to what it actually does, above ground, below ground, and across the seasons. I'll show you how to get rid of it for good, and most importantly, what to plant instead. I want this to feel like a chat between friends, not a lecture. I'll keep things simple, and when we hit tricky gardening terms, I'll explain them right away. No fancy jargon, no science class stress, just plain English. So if you're a beginner, you're in the right place. And if you're an experienced gardener, I promise you'll still find something new here. Something that might save your soil, your trees, and a whole lot of future frustration. So let's dig in, literally and figuratively. We'll start with this simple question that almost every gardener asks at some point. Why do so many people love this plant? Let's be honest, English ivy is a charmer. It's the kind of plant that makes you say, wow, the first time you see it climbing a stone wall or wrapping itself around a tree trunk. The leaves look rich and glossy, like nature's paintbrush touched every one with deep green and soft veins. Even in the dead of winter, when everything else looks tired and gray, ivy keeps shining. That's hard to resist. If you're a new gardener, it feels like a gift. Most plants need careful watering, perfect sunlight, and constant checking. Ivy seems to say, "Don't worry about me, I've got it." You can plant it in a shady corner where nothing else grows, and it will take off like it's been waiting its whole life for that spot. It doesn't fuss about soil or moisture. It doesn't sulk when the weather changes. It just grows. That's why garden centers love to sell it. It's reliable, fast, and easy to keep alive long enough to impress customers. The problem is, that same reliability is exactly what makes it a nightmare later. But at the start, you don't see that. You see success. You see green. You see beauty. When I first started gardening, I wanted a quick win too. I had an ugly old fence out back, weathered and gray. I planted a few cuttings of ivy along the base, thinking it would take years to climb. By the end of the summer, it had already reached halfway up. By next spring, the fence was completely covered. It was stunning. Birds perched on top of it, bees visited the small flowers. My friends said it looked like something from an English cottage postcard. And I felt proud, really proud. For the first time, my yard looked like a garden, not just a patch of dirt. That feeling is powerful. It's what keeps so many gardeners hooked. Ivy makes you feel capable. It rewards you fast. And if you don't yet know the harm it causes, you fall in love with it. It's also a plant of nostalgia. Many people grew up seeing it on old buildings or in parks. It has a classic look that feels romantic. Soft vines, gentle shade, a sense of age and mystery. It's easy to understand why homeowners want that charm around their porches or walls. It's like adding instant history to a new space. There's also the problem solver side of ivy. Have a slope that's washing out in the rain? Ivy will hold it. Got a bare patch where grass won't grow? Ivy will fill it. Need to hide an old stump or rough corner? Ivy again. It's the answer to so many problems that it's almost become the default plant for lazy landscaping. And that's the catch. English ivy is too good at what it does. It doesn't stop at the edge of a flower bed. It doesn't care about your design plans. It grows under fences, across mulch, up trunks, and even into gutters. What feels like a helpful plant at first quietly becomes a takeover. But when you're standing in front of your home, looking at the vibrant green wall you grew in one season, you can't see that yet. You see beauty, and beauty can make you overlook a lot. Let's talk about how it gets that way. How ivy grows so fast and strong that even the best gardeners struggle to control it. English ivy has tiny roots along its stems called adventitious roots. Adventitious just means roots that grow where roots normally don't, along stems or leaves instead of underground. These little roots act like suction cups. They grab onto almost any surface, wood, stone, brick, bark, and hold tight. That's how it climbs so easily. It doesn't need a trellis or netting. It makes its own. Each time a stem touches soil, those same roots dig down and start a new plant. One vine becomes 10, then 50, then hundreds. It spreads both above and below the ground, making a web that's nearly impossible to pull up once it's mature. That's why gardeners get stuck in a cycle. They trim it, it grows back. They dig it up, it returns from pieces left behind. They cut it from trees, it reappears next season. It gives the illusion of cooperation. It lets you control it for a while, but it's never really gone. Still, people keep planting it because they only see the short term. It's beautiful, evergreen, and instant. And in gardening, instant is a powerful temptation. Let's imagine this. You've just bought your first house. The yard's a mess. You don't have much money or time, but you want something that looks cared for. You go to the store and see a tray of ivy for a few dollars. You think, perfect, fast and cheap. You plant it, water it once, and step back. Within weeks, you've got life and color. It's easy to fall in love with that feeling. But what you can't see is that every one of those little vines is already planning to take more space. It's already sending out new roots, ready to spread. In a year, it'll reach your trees. In 2 years, it'll reach your roofline. In 3 years, it'll be the boss. This is the story of most ivy gardens. They start with excitement and end with regret. But the lesson isn't don't plant fast growers. It's understand what kind of growth helps your garden and what kind of growth harms your garden. Healthy growth shares the space. It brings variety. It welcomes insects, birds, and new seedlings. Harmful growth hoards the space. It blocks light. It kills competition. It creates silence. And that's where English ivy fits. It's silent. It grows so quietly that by the time you realize what's happened, it's already everywhere. Now, don't worry, we'll talk soon about how to fix it. But before that, let's take a close look at what happens when ivy turns from decoration to destruction. Because understanding what it does, how it truly behaves, is the first step towards stopping it.
All right, let's take a deep breath and step closer to the real heart of the problem. You've seen how ivy charms us at first. It grows fast, stays green, and makes everything look beautiful. But the same traits that make it appealing are also what make it destructive. Let's start with the most visible place where it causes trouble: your trees. If you've ever seen ivy climbing up a tree trunk, you know how lovely it looks. A winding vine, soft leaves catching the light, wrapping the bark like a piece of living art. It's the kind of sight that makes you want to take a picture. But what you don't see is the slow damage happening underneath that beauty. When ivy climbs a tree, it attaches with tiny rootlets along its stems. They act like little fingers, gripping into the bark. They don't just sit there, they hold moisture against the wood. Bark is a tree's skin. It's meant to stay dry on the surface, so fungi and rot can't get in. When ivy keeps it wet, it's like trapping damp cloth against your skin for days. The tree starts to weaken. Moisture leads to decay. Small cracks appear, then fungi slip in, followed by insects that love softwood. Over time, the bark starts to peel and the wood underneath begins to soften. The ivy keeps climbing, wrapping tighter and tighter until the tree can't breathe properly. You might not notice at first. Trees are patient. They don't complain. They keep growing leaves and doing their best to survive. But each year, the ivy adds more weight. A thick blanket of ivy can weigh hundreds of pounds when it's wet. Add wind or a winter storm, and that extra weight pulls on branches. I've seen limbs snap clean off under the strain. And here's the sad part. When ivy gets high enough, it can block sunlight from reaching the tree's own leaves. The tree slowly starves in its own shade. You can think of it like a parasite. Beautiful, but deadly. Now, it's not just trees. Let's talk about the ground, where ivy first begins its takeover. On the surface, it looks neat and tidy. A soft green carpet. No weeds, no bare spots. For a while, you might think it's doing you a favor. But underneath that green layer, something very different is happening. Healthy soil breathes. It needs light, air pockets, moisture, and fallen leaves that break down into nutrients. It needs worms moving through it and fungi connecting plant roots underground. That's the web of life that keeps your garden alive. Ivy changes all of that. Its dense mat of roots locks the soil tight. Air can't move through it. Water runs off instead of soaking in. The fallen leaves that normally feed the soil can't reach it. They get stuck on top of the ivy and dry out. Worms move away, fungi die off. The soil underneath becomes compacted, flat, and hard like a crust. Have you ever tried digging in a patch that used to have ivy? You probably felt it. It's tough, dry, and empty. That's because ivy isn't sharing space, it's sealing it off. It doesn't leave room for anything else to live. And here's another sneaky part. Ivy releases chemicals through its roots that can discourage other plants from growing nearby. It's not just crowding them out, it's telling them chemically, this is my ground. It's nature's version of a land grab. You might also notice that over time, nothing new sprouts through ivy.
Spring bulbs disappear, wildflowers vanish, even weeds struggle. It's a silent kind of emptiness that looks green but feels lifeless. Now, let's walk to another place ivy loves: your walls and fences. If you have ivy climbing your house, it might look charming, like an old cottage in the countryside. But here's what happens behind the scenes. Those same rootlets that cling to bark will cling to brick, wood, or siding. They squeeze into tiny cracks and gaps. When they grow, they expand those cracks. Over time, they can loosen mortar, pull apart boards, and let moisture into your walls. If your house has wood siding, that moisture can lead to rot. If it's brick, it can cause crumbling and flaking. Ivy doesn't care, it's just doing what it always does: climb and cling. But once it finds a weak spot, it turns a small problem into a big repair bill. And if you've ever tried removing ivy from a wall, you know it doesn't go quietly. When you pull it off, it leaves behind little root marks that stain or tear paint. Some people try to scrape them off, but that often damages the surface even more. So yes, ivy may look romantic, but in the long run, it's more like a guest who never leaves and breaks half your furniture before they go. Now, let's talk about what ivy does beyond your yard. Because once it escapes, the problem gets much bigger. Birds eat ivy berries in winter when other food is scarce. The seeds pass through their system and land wherever the birds fly. That means ivy spreads into forests, parks, and wildlands. And once it's there, it does exactly what it did in your yard. It smothers the ground and climbs the trees. You might not notice it right away, but drive through older neighborhoods or walk in city parks and you'll start to see it. Entire forest floors covered in ivy, tree trunks buried halfway up in green. When that happens, native plants can't compete. The natural cycle that supports insects, birds, and small animals breaks down. The whole ecosystem shifts, and not in a good way. That's why some states now list English ivy as an invasive species. Some even ban its sale. But because it's so well loved, it keeps spreading. People don't realize it's a problem until the damage is done. So what starts as a small backyard project, let's cover that fence with something pretty, can quietly become a neighborhood issue. It spreads across property lines, into public spaces, and eventually into nature itself. But don't worry, this isn't a hopeless story. You can stop ivy before it takes over completely. You can protect your trees, heal your soil, and even help your local ecosystem recover. It just takes awareness and a bit of effort. In the next section, we'll talk about how to safely remove ivy without wrecking your garden, what to do with the bare spots it leaves behind, and how to make sure it never returns. You'll learn a simple, steady approach that works even if your garden is already covered. Because gardening at its best isn't about control, it's about cooperation. When you work with your land, not against it, everything grows easier. All right, ready to roll up your sleeves? Let's talk about how to remove ivy the right way.
All right, my friend, so now you know what ivy really does, how it clings, spreads, and quietly takes over. You might be looking out your window right now at that green wall or maybe that thick mat under your tree, thinking, okay, it's time. I need to deal with this. Don't worry, you absolutely can. And you don't need fancy tools, chemicals, or a full crew of landscapers to do it. You just need patience, a bit of consistency, and a clear plan. Ivy removal isn't about speed. It's about steady work and persistence. Think of it like cleaning out an old attic. Slow, careful, one box at a time. Let's start with the most important rule. Don't rip it all out at once. That's the mistake most gardeners make. They grab the vines and pull hard, thinking they can clear it in a day. What usually happens, you end up tearing bark off your trees, damaging fences, and leaving behind root fragments that grow right back. Ivy removal is more like surgery than demolition. You go step by step with a steady hand. Step 1. Focus on the trees. If you have ivy climbing up a tree, start there. The goal isn't to yank it down. That can hurt the bark and sometimes the tree itself. Instead, take a pair of pruners or loppers and cut every vine at the base of the trunk. Make a clean cut all around the tree, about chest height. Then make another cut near the ground. You'll create a dead zone between the two cuts. Now, leave that upper ivy alone. Don't try to pull it off. It might look ugly for a while, but within a few weeks, it'll dry out, turn brown, and naturally loosen. When that happens, you can gently peel it away. It will fall on its own in time. Cutting the base severs its lifeline, the water and nutrients it pulls from the ground. Once that's gone, the rest dies quietly. This method keeps your bark safe and your cleanup simple. Step 2. Clear the ground around the trunk. After cutting the vines, pull back all the ivy growing at the base of the tree. This is where most of the regrowth starts. Use gloves. Ivy sap can irritate skin for some people. A small hand fork or trowel helps you loosen the soil and find the main roots. Try to get as much of each root as possible, but don't obsess over perfection. You'll get the rest later with follow-ups. Once you've cleared about a 3-foot circle around the base, cover that soil with a thick layer of mulch, cardboard, or even leaves. This barrier helps prevent new shoots from sprouting right back. Step 3. Work outward in sections. Here's where many people get overwhelmed. If your whole yard is covered, don't try to do it all at once. Pick one small area, maybe a few square feet, and focus on that. Start by cutting vines into smaller sections with your pruners. Shorter pieces are easier to pull. Slide your fingers under the vines and lift gently. You'll hear that soft ripping sound as they come loose. Be patient, don't force it. If the roots hold tight, loosen the soil with a garden fork. It helps to work after a good rain or when the soil is moist. The roots come out much easier then. Dry soil makes them snap, and every broken piece can regrow. When you find thick, woody vines, cut them and pull them separately. They're the older growth, usually the ones that come back fastest if left behind. Step 4. Smother the leftovers. No matter how carefully you work, you'll never get every root in one pass. Ivy is sneaky. That's why the next step is to block sunlight and starve what's left. You can do this in a few ways. The easiest and cheapest is cardboard. Flatten a few boxes and lay them over the cleared soil. Overlap the edges so no light can slip through. Wet the cardboard to keep it in place, then cover it with mulch, leaves, or wood chips. Leave that in place for at least 3 months, longer if you can. Without sunlight, ivy can't photosynthesize. Without photosynthesis, it dies. If you're working on a slope or a large patch, you can also use thick landscape fabric, old rugs, or tarps. Anything that blocks light will work. Just remember to check under it every few weeks to make sure nothing new is sneaking through the edges. Step 5. Watch for regrowth. Ivy is sneaky. Even after months of work, you'll still see a few brave shoots trying to come back. That's normal. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means ivy is doing what ivy does. Walk through your garden once or twice a month. If you see new vines, pull them right away while they're small. The sooner you act, the easier it is. A single minute here and there saves you hours later. Think of it like brushing your teeth. A little maintenance prevents a big problem. Step 6. Disposal. This part's important. Don't compost ivy. I know it's tempting, but ivy can regrow from tiny fragments. Compost piles don't always get hot enough to kill it. You'll just end up spreading it again when you use that compost later. Instead, bag it. Let it dry out in the sun until it's brittle, then toss it in the yard waste bin or trash. Some people burn it, but I don't recommend that. Ivy smoke can be irritating. Drying and bagging is safest. Step 7. Repairing the soil. After ivy's gone, the soil underneath might look bare and lifeless. Don't worry, that's temporary. It just needs help waking up again. Start by adding a thin layer of compost, leaf mulch, or shredded bark. This feeds the microorganisms and softens compacted areas. If the ground feels hard, use a garden fork to poke a few holes. Not deep digging, just enough to let air in. If you have access to worm castings, mix a little into the topsoil. Worm castings are rich in beneficial bacteria that bring life back faster. Over time, rain, worms, and roots will naturally rebuild the structure.
Within a season or two, your soil will feel soft again and ready for new plants. Number 8, replanting wisely. The best way to keep ivy from coming back is to fill the space with something better. Nature hates empty ground. If you don't choose what grows there, ivy will. Pick strong, low-maintenance plants that spread gently but don't invade. If you're in a shady area, go for native ground covers like wild ginger, foam flower, or woodland phlox. They fill the soil, protect it from erosion, and feed pollinators. And if you have sun, try creeping thyme, barren strawberry, or native sedges. They're tough, green year-round, and easy to manage. And if you loved ivy for its climbing habit, try Virginia creeper instead. It's native to most of North America. It grows fast, but it's kinder to trees and turns a brilliant red in fall. When you replant, think of it as creating a new balance. Every root you add should help the soil, not harm it. Every leaf should welcome life, not block it. Number 9, keep perspective. Removing ivy can feel endless, especially when you see it sprouting back. But remember, this isn't just about cleaning up your garden. It's about restoring it. You're giving your soil air again. You're letting trees breathe. You're opening space for native life to return. That's worth every pulled root. It's okay to take breaks. You don't have to do it all at once. Work one weekend a month. Celebrate progress. Each cleared patch is a small victory. And here's a secret. Many gardeners say they feel more connected to their land after removing ivy. They notice the texture of the soil, the way the roots twist, the tiny bugs that return. It's a slow, mindful kind of gardening, the good kind. So if you're standing in your yard, gloves on, wondering where to begin, just start small. One corner, one tree. You'll be amazed at what happens when you keep at it. All right, now that you know how to safely remove ivy, let's talk about what to do after. Because clearing space is just half the story. Filling it wisely is where the magic begins. Next, we'll look at what to plant instead. The beautiful, native, and well-behaved options that will keep your garden thriving for years to come.
All right, you've done the hard work. You've pulled, cut, and cleared. The ivy's gone, or at least mostly gone. You're standing there, maybe a little sore, looking at a patch of bare ground that used to be a thick green mat. You can see the soil again, maybe for the first time in years. This is the moment that separates a good garden from a great one. What you choose next matters, because if you leave that space empty, ivy or something just as aggressive will try to come back. Nature doesn't like bare soil. It always fills it. Your job is to decide what fills it. The best thing you can do now is plant smart. You want plants that give you the same beauty and coverage that ivy offered, but without the destruction. You want something that plays nicely with others, supports wildlife, and keeps your soil healthy. Let's start with the ground covers. If your space is shady, go for wild ginger. It's not the kind you cook with. It's a native plant that spreads in soft, heart-shaped leaves. It loves cool, dark spots under trees where ivy usually takes over. Wild ginger grows slowly but steadily. Once it's settled, it forms a lush green carpet that blocks weeds but doesn't smother your soil. It's gentle, not greedy. Another great shade option is foam flower. The name alone sounds friendly, doesn't it? Foam flower has little white blossoms in spring, like soft foam on a pond. Its leaves are patterned with deep green and burgundy. It spreads by short runners, which means it fills gaps without taking over the world. It also feeds early bees when not much else is blooming. Then there's woodland phlox, a native treasure. It's one of those plants that quietly transforms a shady bed. When it blooms, it covers the ground in a haze of blue or violet flowers. The scent is gentle and sweet. Butterflies love it. And it coexists happily with ferns, hostas, and spring bulbs. If your area gets a bit more light, try Pachysandra procumbens. That's the native Pachysandra, not the aggressive Asian kind. It has low, leathery leaves and soft white flowers close to the ground. It handles dry shade beautifully.
It's tough, but mannerly, a good citizen in your garden community. Now, let's move to sunny spots. If your cleared patch gets direct sun, you've got even more choices. Creeping thyme is one of my favorites. It's fragrant, soft, and you can walk on it. In summer, it bursts with tiny purple flowers that bees can't resist. It hugs the soil tightly, which helps prevent erosion, but it never invades other plants' space. It's gentle, not greedy. Barren strawberry is another beauty. Despite the name, it's full of life. It looks like strawberry plants with bright green leaves and small yellow flowers, but it doesn't produce fruit. It's hardy, low, and cheerful, perfect for filling large areas. If you want something more grass-like, try Pennsylvania sedge. It's a native sedge that looks a bit like fine lawn grass, but needs almost no mowing or watering. It grows in soft tufts and moves gently in the wind. You can plant it under trees, along paths, or even use it instead of traditional turf in small yards. Now, maybe you loved your ivy because it climbed. You liked how it dressed up a wall or a fence. There are safe, beautiful climbers too, ones that don't strangle trees or damage structures. Virginia creeper is the top choice here. It's native, fast-growing, and stunning in every season. In summer, it's deep green. In fall, it turns fiery red and orange. Unlike ivy, it doesn't cling with damaging rootlets. It uses small suction discs that release easily. And if it ever gets too high, you can trim it without a fight. It also feeds birds with its berries and provides cover for nesting. If you live in the south or a warmer zone, you might try Carolina jessamine, spelled Jessamine. It's a twining vine with bright yellow trumpet-shaped flowers that bloom in late winter when everything else is still asleep. It's fragrant, hardy, and doesn't smother trees. For a softer, more delicate look, American wisteria is another option. Be careful here. Make sure it's American wisteria, Wisteria frutescens, not the aggressive Asian kind. American wisteria grows slower, blooms with rich purple clusters, and stays polite. It's perfect on trellises or pergolas where you want a touch of wild charm without the wild takeover. Now, once you've chosen your replacement plants, think about how you'll arrange them. You want layers, low ground covers up front, medium plants in the middle, and taller shrubs or climbers behind. This layering mimics nature and helps shade the soil, which keeps it cool and moist. And here's a little secret. When you plant diverse species, different heights, root depths, and blooming times, you naturally protect your garden from weeds and pests. Diversity is nature's way of balance. You might be thinking, that's a lot of new plants. Will it cost a fortune? Not necessarily. There are low-cost, community-based ways to build your garden back. Check your local native plant society. They often host swaps in spring and fall where gardeners trade plants for free. You bring what you have and you leave with new treasures. You can also look for local plant rescues, where volunteers dig up native plants from construction sites before they're bulldozed. And don't forget propagation. Many of these plants spread naturally by division or seed. Once you have a few, you can multiply them year after year. One wild ginger patch can become 5 with just a bit of patience. Now let's talk briefly about timing. If you've just removed ivy, give the soil a few weeks to rest before replanting. Let it breathe, rake it gently, water it a few times, and let the microbes wake up again. Then plant in early spring or fall, the seasons when roots grow strongest. When you plant, tuck each one into soft, moist soil. Press gently so there are no air gaps. Water deeply at the base, slow and steady, not a quick sprinkle. Then add mulch around each plant, about 2 inches thick to hold moisture and discourage weeds. For the first year, these new plants will look small. You might be tempted to fill the gaps with more. Don't. Give them time. By the second or third season, they'll spread, weave together, and cover the ground beautifully. Gardening always rewards patience. And here's something I want you to remember. Every time you plant a native or gentle species instead of an invasive one, you're not just helping your yard, you're helping your whole community. Birds, bees, and butterflies depend on native plants for food and shelter. A single patch of wild phlox or creeping thyme can feed dozens of pollinators. That's how the balance starts to return. So instead of a wall of ivy that looks pretty but does nothing, you'll have a living, breathing garden full of movement and life. In a few years, you'll look back and realize how different your garden feels. The soil will smell richer. You'll see earthworms again. You'll hear more birds. You might even notice more butterflies drifting by. That's your garden healing. That's the reward for all your effort. And the best part, once your new plants settle in, they'll need far less care than ivy ever did. You won't have to fight to keep them in line. You'll spend more time enjoying your garden, not managing it. So when someone walks by your house and says, "Your yard looks amazing, what's your secret?" you can smile and say, "I let nature take the lead."
All right, friend, you started this story with a single plant, a green wall of leaves that seemed perfect, easy, pretty, forgiving. You didn't know it was quietly taking more than it gave. Now you do, and that knowledge changes everything. You've seen how English ivy can smother trees, starve soil, and silence the life beneath it. You've also seen how patience, persistence, and better choices can bring that life back. When you cleared the ivy, you didn't just fix a problem, you opened a door. You let your garden breathe again. And when you planted natives, you did something bigger than landscaping. You restored balance. That's what real gardening is about. It's not chasing perfection, it's learning to work with the land instead of against it. It's noticing the quiet signs, the return of worms in the soil, the hum of bees, the shade of new leaves, and realizing those are your rewards. So don't worry if your garden still looks a little uneven. Don't stress if ivy sprouts again here or there. Every garden, like every gardener, is a work in progress. What matters is that you've chosen the right direction. When you walk outside tomorrow, take a moment to feel proud. Look at the soil you saved, the trees you freed, the life you invited back. That's your real harvest. If this video helped you see your garden in a new light, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We're building a community of gardeners who care about growing wisely, not just quickly. And before you go, watch 5 gardening fall mistakes you must never make again. It pairs perfectly with today's lesson and will help you save time, money, and plants this season.